mara. Ebule, wawa. Mama wa ya ralitunga. Mama wa dongi te kora u. Omo wele omo wa. Okeleko. Mama wa dongi te kora u. Omo wele omo wa. Okeleko. Mama wa o. Adongi te kora u. Omo wele omo wa. Okeleko. Mama wa ratonga kumeyangani. Toime kemoto na mano lili lunge. Awe andi. Okeleko. Matongo mare. Okeleko. Omuna muna. Okeleko. Natenonjia wanga. Okeleko. O America. Okeleko. O UK. Okeleko. Nateno Texas. Okeleko. Uy, iwe inongoa. Orale mita wawo kwale koma monye. Mama kobe marokoto unye. Rekeno ejoke. Onore bufinge ka etoke. Ejoke. Meyo eke mapati kesunge. Ejoke. Jumoko koni singe. Ejoke. President Billion Seller of Florida. Yo kanye uwa no metunga. Mama wa dongi te kora u. Omo wele ya omo wa. Okeleko. Mama wa dongi te kora u. Omo wele ya omo wa. Okeleko. Mama wa o. Adongi te kora u. Omo wele ya omo wa. Okeleko. Mama wa ratonga kumeyangani. Toime kemoto na mano lili lunge. Awe andi. Okeleko. Matongo mare. Okeleko. Omuna muna. Okeleko. Natenonjia wanga. Okeleko. O America. Okeleko. O UK. Okeleko. Nateno Texas. Okeleko. Ingondo na emberewe yo. Ebe ya monye oyo ndi bakekile. Ewe nilitunga. Okeleko. Ingondo na emberewe yo. Irango ninyango evure yo. Naja ninginya. Okeleko. Kokeleko kwea. Kokeleko ya umbe. Kokeleko bamenda. Olimbe. O Nigeria, o Algeria, o Ethiopia, na no Saudi Arabia.
Okeleko. Zola Tempo, t'es une référence. Moi je Sarnio Kalongo, j'ai dit.
Dans la rétrovision de Noki au sala marche arrière. Passé à Nganayon, to Wakana et Balé. Pangousa de Papouis, to Kende avant. Alita Chamala.
Kemba Kiadina Montréal. Sima au Kiboukitou.
Dans la rétrovision de Noki au sala marche arrière. Passé à Nganayon, to Wakana et Balé. Pangousa de Papouis, to Kende avant. Alita Chamala.
Roboti.
Nalula yo, nalinga yo, nazela yo. Tina nini na petaje ya kipergani. Na ipembula ikusani. Nalula yo, nalinga yo, nazela yo. Tina nini na petaje ya kipergani. Na ipembula ikusani. Anita Chamala. Atakoyo na mopembo tina kabasango. Na ebaka masoba koleka. Na ikomote mape itonda na zuwa. Anita Chamala. Atakoyo na mopembo tina kabasango. Na ebaka masoba koleka. Na ikomote mape itonda na zuwa. Anita Chamala.
Maria Capone. D'Aquenselo, océan de sagesse.
Nanyokwa
right before God, so we can rule from Cape to Cairo. You must free my people, sons, so we can rule our purpose land. I wanna know who owns the land. Who wanna know who owns the land? Okay, now listen carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be ruled by Africans. I wanna know who owns the land.
Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and welcome to the broadcast right here on Africa Broadcasting Service, ABS, coming to you from the state of Texas, precisely Houston, Texas. It's a pleasure to come to you today. I am glad you are tuned in and glued to your television sets. From South America, from Canada, from the UK, from all of Europe, the rest of Europe, including the Ukraine, Russia, and of course, Western and Central Europe, and the continental USA. Thank you for tuning in. Again, it's always a pleasure to come to you with updates on the struggle for independence actualization of the people of Ambazonia. Ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and you hit your share button. We're going to be bringing you some very excited developments today, ladies and gentlemen. So please, if you are tuning in from any part of the world you are tuning in from, please go ahead and hit your share button. Let us quickly get this platform populated, especially if you are tuning in by way of Facebook. Go ahead and hit your share button. I can see that a lot of Republic du Cameroon, ladies and gentlemen, the heat is being turned up. The heat is being turned up on La République du Cameroon. Since the killings in Ekondo Titi, we see blames here and there, and La République du Cameroon officials now wanting everybody to believe, as they have always wanted to, that everything is okay, everything is under control in Ekondo Titi. No, everything is not under control anywhere in Ambazonia for La République du Cameroon, ladies and gentlemen. And they want you to believe that, Ambazonia Restoration Forces killed the senior divisional officer or the divisional officer, the mayor and French Cameroon military in that vicinity. Is it Bekora in Ekondo Titi? I'm going to tell you something La République is not telling you, what their officials are not telling you about the killings, the offensive, I call it, in Ekondo Titi. They should all blame themselves. They should all be blaming themselves for not just the attacks in Ekondo Titi, but whatever is happening in the territory that we call Ambazonia, former British Southern Cameroons. They should all be blaming themselves. And if anything we have learned or are learning from Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen, I will bring it to you right here, right now on ABS Africa Broadcasting Service. I am joined by two gentlemen of the Restoration Council who shall be discussing with me a certain statement issued or sent out to the chairman of the Restoration Council and the Restoration Council, essentially questioning the jurisdiction of the Restoration Council over an audit, ladies and gentlemen. Samuel Ekome Sako doesn't want an audit. If they lie to you that they are so desperately waiting for the audit to get to them, know that it is a lie. A very, very fat lie. A few days ago, an unconstituted judiciary commission of Samuel Ekomesako's purported government sent out a statement to the Restoration Council questioning the Restoration Council's jurisdiction, oversight over anything audit, and the National Treasury of Ambazonia. We will be bringing to you again two Restoration Council gentlemen who shall be discussing, giving us their take on this subject. And of course, I came up here the other day, and because the show was quite elaborate, I forgot to discuss this secret meeting that took place. I think that was on Tuesday. Secret meeting that took place on Tuesday. Summoned by Samuel Ekomesako with his little cryptocurrency ring, agreeing to hostilely take over, ladies and gentlemen, the National Treasury of Ambazonia. Again, I will be bringing you these stories, and please, before I get started, I want to see you go on, hit your share button. Let the numbers begin to jump. Let the numbers begin to jump. This is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. But let me start with this so-called ASSC. Second, that Samuel Ekomesako and his little business gang, they say they are planning for Washington, D.C. I think they've summoned it for, I think, the 9th, is it the 9th to the 11th of this month, literally days away. Fellow Ambazonians, you all have no doubt that Samuel Ekomesako cannot at this moment be inviting anybody to any occasion as the president of Ambazonia, because you all know he was long impeached and removed. If you are one of those who is being invited to show up at that so-called ASSC, what was it, Ambazonia conference, if you are one of those being invited to show up at that conference, you waste your time. You waste your time, ladies and gentlemen. So we want to encourage you. Do not spend your time on frivolous activities that will not push this struggle a mile. It will not push this struggle a mile. And if you are out there putting money in the hands of Samuel Ekomesako to organize this so-called ASSC, you are just promoting the thievery that we have seen for the past 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, because at the end of the day, you will not see anything that your money has achieved. 2 days ago, when this incident took place in Ekondo Titi, we saw them coming out, rushing out to want Ambazonians to believe that Lava Storm Third, the money they raised for Lava Storm Third did the job in Ekondo Titi. But the chairman, ladies and gentlemen, of Ekondo Titi, of Indian, the chairman of Indian was here to tell us Sako hand had nothing, zero, to do with the offensive in Ekondo Titi. The question, if you are out there, the question you should be asking Sako is, you are now telling us Lava Storm number 3 gave us Ekondo Titi. How about AFCON? How about Lava Storm 1? How about Lava Storm 2? How about Federal Marshal? How about President's Corner, ladies and gentlemen? So please, we have gone past the day of these con games. I also saw Ayabacho coming out to quickly claim that a combined force, a joint force, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what joint force. This is what I hate in people who are manipulative and deceitful, who jump at anything to take the credit when they know nothing about it. And that is one problem in this struggle. When opportunities just come out and take opportunities, say things, do things they have no idea about. It is difficult working with such kind of people who have no ability to be truthful. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to see the numbers jumping. Please get those numbers jumping. Lava storm number 3 had nothing, zero, to do with what took place in Ekondo Titi, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, lava storm number 3 doesn't exist. People were called in that exercise to pledge sums of money that have never been realized. They have never been realized. The money that was realized was FACO's drive that was supposed to stop AFCON. Money that was realized were the contributions from the counties meant to stop AFCON. You have not as much as heard anything coming from anybody about why AFCON wasn't stopped. Not even the ANSC has come out to issue a statement that I know of, ladies and gentlemen, why AFCON was not stopped. And ANSC is out there just trying to raise much more money and telling us they are apolitical. Let us stop this nonsense where you just collect money out there and think that you will go back to Ambazonians, collect more money, and nothing is happening. We want to stop it. The ANSC is made up of security chiefs from all the 13 counties. We need to see work in your counties and not raising money every day and we see nothing and you say nothing. The ANSC should stand up. The security chiefs in every county should stand up, do work in your county and stop telling people about some neutral ANSC. Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at a position in this war, in this struggle, where it's not just all about money. People should begin to show us what they are doing with the money. We need the ANSC to step out and tell Ambazonians why AFCON was not stopped. And of course I know it, but it's not enough for me to sit here and tell you why people who got the money to stop it sit there and they do nothing and they just want you to keep on giving them more money. All right, sorry about that. I just get ticked off with this. So ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing like the ASSC, this interim government, after the transitional period of, I don't know whether it's 4 months or 6 months, will be gathering all Ambazonians, and I mean all Ambazonians together to reshape the direction of this struggle. So anything like called ASSC, dumb it, ladies and gentlemen. Dumb it. Sako is just trying to make believe he is still in charge when really he is not in charge. He is not in charge. And none of you should dare put a dime in his hands for anything. For anything. If you sat there for 4 months, for 4 years and collected money for 4 years, and we have nothing to show for it, no diplomacy to show for it, little military power or might to show for it. 11 February has come and gone. 20th May is also coming. Mountain race has come and gone. AFCON, Chan, and all this, they came and gone. Sako collected all of your money, did nothing. You will be a fool if you continue to put a dime into his hands. Now, the National Treasury will learn, sealed by the Restoration Council. And now they have devised another fraud. Another fraud, and Iringwa is out there passing out her private bank accounts for you to furnish money into. Are Ambazonians fools? They just keep doing these things day in, day out, and some of you continue to gather around them while they kill and slaughter your brothers on the ground. You are not questioning them what they are doing with all the money. What happened to lava storm 1, 2, 3? Now I hear they are talking about 4. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to see the numbers jumping. Go ahead, hit your share button. I need to see the numbers jumping. Right now, they are not to my likeness. But let me go to this statement coming from the so-called, ladies and gentlemen, Judiciary Committee of Sarko's Kaba. I don't want to call it a government because it isn't a government. It isn't a government. It is not a government. Sarko doesn't have a government, doesn't run one. He runs a little clique of Bitcoin business dealers. Look at what is happening in Ngo Ketunjia. I was reading something that took place in Ngo Ketunjia where the colonial divisional officer and the mayors and their paramilitary forcing people, marching with them along the street to protest, ladies and gentlemen, this struggle for Ambazonia's independence. And guess what? Ngo Ketunjia had one of the best fighting force in Ambazonia. Samuel Ekomesako and Ngo Ketunjia county leaders, they have not been able to maintain that force. And Ngo Ketunjia fighters are now in pieces. And all their leaders are whining and dining with Sarko because of Bitcoin. Sarko's Secretary of Defense, ladies and gentlemen, Secretary of Defense, what is his name? Chenye Wu? Frank Chenye. He's from Ngo Ketunjia. But Ngo Ketunjia is being destroyed. It's being destroyed as I speak. All of them. Martin Mungwa from Ngo Ketunjia. Ladies and gentlemen, what is his name? Langmi Ngo Ketunjia. All these names that you know, they are from Ngo Ketunjia. Amos Ngo Ketunjia. Amos is the chairman. Ngo Ketunjia. But Ngo Ketunjia is falling into pieces, and our boys are being slaughtered, killed there, ladies and gentlemen, on a daily basis by French Cameroon forces. And guess what? These local government officials in Sarko's crypto ring are the ones betraying them, selling them, and they are being picked up by La République du Cameroon forces on a daily basis and killed. Ngo Ketunjia, if you are from Ngo Ketunjia, the moment has come. You need to get rid of the crypto ring of Martin Mungwa, Frank Chenye, Langmi, and all of those guys. You need to get rid of them. Put a leadership in that county that caters for the true needs of the Ambazonian forces who are defending that territory. Bring back No Pity. Bring back all the other generals in that great county together. Let them recapture Ngo Ketunjia and control it. Get rid of those colonial officials who are parading our people on the streets of Ngo Ketunjia, wanting the world to believe all is well. They are in control. You got to do that if you are from Ngo Ketunjia, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me get to this statement coming from so-called Judiciary Council. So, this Judiciary Council, put together by Samuel Ekomesako, is headed by Barrister Tim Mbesa, who is a disgrace at this moment, I will say, to this struggle. And I won't even talk about Barrister John Frew. John Frew is up. These are two veteran lawyers, ladies and gentlemen, who have suddenly become a disgrace to this struggle. If they are still giving anybody legal advice, legal counsel in this struggle, you can imagine how good such a leader in such a council should be. Barrister Tim Mbesa, John Frew, these are two veteran lawyers who wrote to the Restoration Council, ladies and gentlemen, pandering for Samuel Ekomesako, telling your Restoration Council that, the Constitution gives Samuel Ekomesako eternal presidency to Boya before he can be changed. They said, no, the Constitution does not mention elections anywhere. These are legal scholars, legal veterans in Ambazonia. They just so soon succumb to the intrigues and the games that we see only in La République du Cameroon, singing the Mabola as we know it, ladies and gentlemen, and pandering to the needs of Samuel Ekomesako. Now, after advising Samuel Ekomesako that no, the Constitution doesn't talk about elections. The Restoration Council has no powers to organize elections or to call for elections. They have just, not only do they do that, you all are also aware that under their advice, and I'm here referring to Tim Mbesa and John Fru, and so under their advice, I learned they even fought over this in their meeting. But under their advice, ladies and gentlemen, Sako wrote to the Restoration Council, essentially telling the Restoration Council he has the powers to proscribe them, to ban it, disband it. And under John Frunza, who claims to be a veteran lawyer, but who cannot even get a legal license to practice in America, ladies and gentlemen, they told Sako, you have the right. John Frunza was almost fighting everybody, and I mean everybody, in that meeting. He was busy trying to convince everybody. His Excellency, the Commander-in-Chief, Dr. Samuel Ekomesako has the right, he said, John Frunza said, has the powers to disband the Restoration Council. That's what he said. That's what he told them. And of course, that is what Samuel Ekomesako was waiting to hear. It was music in the ears. And so the next day, when I put out a statement saying he has dissolved the Restoration Council. And so these same guys who said they have dissolved the Restoration Council, and actually, ladies and gentlemen, went on withdrawing some LGA representatives, including the almighty Secretary General of the Restoration Council, a woman who speaks from both sides of her mouth. Both sides of her mouth. You saw her on ABC a year ago, 2 years ago, telling yours truly that Samuel Ekomesako was given 2 years term. A few weeks ago, he came back on the same ABC and said, no, it was one man. It was Komenta who gave Samuel Ekomesako 2 years. That woman speaks from both sides of her mouth. But they withdrew some members, some LGA representatives from the Restoration Council. And they said they dissolved the Restoration Council. But they are now writing to the Restoration Council again. I mean, the Restoration Council, they have dissolved. Oh, I am glad with the cacophony that I see coming from these guys. They just don't know what they are doing. Every step they take sings them to the hole, deeper and deeper. The Restoration Council, they say they have dissolved, is the one they are writing to and saying, you do not have the powers. So they dissolved the Restoration Council, and I guess the Restoration Council did not dissolve. So they write to the Restoration Council and they say the Restoration Council does not have the powers to seal the treasury. The Restoration Council does not have the powers to call for an audit. The letter is here, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. From Samuel Ekomesako Judiciary Council. This letter is signed by Tim Mbesa and John Fru Inso. Again, the Restoration Council, they said they dissolve, they ban. This is the one they have written to. If they want us to believe, ladies and gentlemen, that they respect our institutions by writing this letter to the Restoration Council, shouldn't they withdraw that so-called order of disbandment of the dissolution of the Restoration Council? And should they respect the Restoration Council's call for a change in leadership through elections, ladies and gentlemen? You cannot eat your cake and have it back. You just cannot. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I will be right back in about 1 minute. In about 1 minute, give me 1 minute. Again, I will be right back with you. Hit your share button. I have not started yet.
Have you been thinking of a career in IT? DevOps Engineering is the course for you. CS Academy is offering a 6-week DevOps engineering course that will prepare you for a lucrative job in the IT field. Do you know that an entry-level DevOps pay starts from $90,000 to 6 figures? And the good thing is that you don't need any degree to enroll for the course. Enroll today. Training starts on Friday, March 25th, 2022, and admission is going on right now. Log on to csacademy.us to learn more. Contact us at 832-387-1460.
Our classes are live online, interactive, and instructor guided. Training holds only 2 times a week, Friday and Saturday evenings. Sign up today to secure your seat, or call now and talk to us.
Again, the number is 832-387-1460.
All right, thank you for staying tuned, ladies and gentlemen. But I am talking about this letter from Samuel Ekomesako a few days ago, addressed to the chair of the Restoration Council, and the Restoration Council questioning the jurisdiction of the Restoration Council to audit, ladies and gentlemen, listen to that word carefully, audit the National Treasury. Now, when Samuel Ekomesako comes out questioning the Restoration Council's jurisdiction over an audit that's supposed to be in the federal government, you know what he is trying to do? He is trying to scuttle, ladies and gentlemen, any audit exercise upon him. And which is the reason why I have since began to tell you, do not give a dime to Samuel Ekomesako for a man who cannot jump up at the mention of an audit and say, I am ready, I want to go for it. You do not have to give him a dime for anything. The only reason why they are now writing to the Restoration Council, in spite of the fact that they deserve it, it's because they are trying to avoid. Samuel Sako doesn't want to hear the word audit, doesn't want to be invited for one. Unfortunately, he cannot avoid it. He will better be invited before he turns it down. Ladies and gentlemen, he will be invited. He must be invited before he turns it down. This letter should be thrown into the wastebasket because it holds no grounds anywhere, not to Elvis Commentator, the chairman, nor to the Restoration Council. But I am joined, ladies and gentlemen, by 2 gentlemen from the Restoration Council. I am here referring to the Honorable Danny, who is joining me from London, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss this. Honorable Danny, it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Secretary Chris. Nice to
wonderful.
Be here and,
thank you. I am also being joined, ladies and gentlemen, by the Honorable Alfred Njini, who happens to be the spokesperson for the Restoration Council. Reverend Njini, good to have you back here again, sir.
Thank you very much, Secretary Chris. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And special greetings to Ambazonians, patriotic ones, and human shares, commanders, and all the valiant soldiers of the Southern Cameroons everywhere, standing the heat day after day for us. And we are here to share out some pertinent things which will bring light of knowledge and understanding to our people and to empower them to move on without shrinking back. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Honorable Danny, I will start with you. I call this uh, I mean, this letter, I'm sure that both of you have read this letter coming from Tim Mbisa and John Fruinso, two very inconsistent lawyers that I have seen in this struggle. The last time they wrote to the Restoration Council, Tim Mbisa and John Fruinso wrote to the Restoration Council questioning the jurisdiction of the Restoration Council over conducting election. The Restoration Council literally dumped their petition in the dustbin. The Restoration Council said Tim Mbese and John Fruinso have never been voted as chairs and co-chair of the Judiciary Council. They come back writing to you and asking you this time to remove your hands, lift your hands away from anything audit. Please tell us, how do you even address this guy? Do you even address this guy? Do you even respond to them, considering that these guys have never been voted? Tim Mbese and John Fruinso have never been voted as chairs and co-chair of the Judiciary Council. Honorable Danny.
Thank you, Secretary Chris. Before I go ahead, I just want to, greet Ambazonians, just to tell them to hold on, even in these very challenging moments that we're going through, and also, regardless of the bullet battles, things that they are facing, to hold on, to stay strong. And just before I take again that question, I just want to, for my fans that have been following Vision for the Nation, I just want to say, please, I'm sorry I've not been on air, due to some circumstances, but we are together, and hopefully someday, I might continue it. Now, to this question, in fact, I don't know how I'm really going to tackle this, because there's just so much about this particular letter, which, for starters, really, okay. Now, this is the thing. You have two individuals, and with me, I don't want to look at their characters and all the like, because that's another story for another day. But let us look facts. We are dealing here with two individuals that have not been vetted, who are supposedly supposed to be part of the Judiciary Commission, which is also not constituted, writing to the RC, the Restoration Council, which one of them in a meeting, I was there in that meeting, shouting loud and saying the RC has to be dissolved. And according to him, it has been, according to him. And these individuals are now writing to the RC. What sense does it make? It makes absolutely no sense.
Absolutely no sense.
So in a sense, they really do admit by this letter, they really admit that the RC is in control, the RC exists, and that the RC has acted, whether illegal or in any way, but it is still there. So writing this letter is just telling Ambazonians that they recognize the RC. So that's my first point. I have a lot of notes and little things I've written here. I hope I have the time to go through them.
Go on, please. Go on.
And,
yes, go on.
Yeah, and just to say that according to Article 19(2) of the Constitution, the Judiciary Council is not constituted because you will need 5 to 7 members. I wonder if they have that number, and you cannot have that number of people who are not vetted. So they are not constituted. I think even Dr. Lobati had mentioned that one, that they are not constituted. So how do we get? So
you are essentially saying that nothing exists as a Judiciary Council.
No, it doesn't, because if I remember very well, even Dr. Lobati on ABC has once said that the judiciary is not constituted. I had a discussion with her, and she also told me the same thing, that it is not constituted, it doesn't exist. So, and if you look at it, even according to our terms of reference, which they do admit it, it's there. There's no way they can refuse it. The terms of reference Article 4.1 say, in the absence of political party, the legislative arm of the government is represented in the interim by the Restoration Council and its agencies. Now, when we say agencies, in this case, we're talking about the committees that are within the Restoration Council. You have defense, you have finance, you have government affairs, and all the like. So all of these things are there when you have the terms of reference mentioning through its agencies or the agencies of the Restoration Council is mainly talking about the team, the commission, the committees that are set up to handle these things, which we'll look in detail. But that's just the introduction I want to give in terms of these two individuals that have written this interesting letter and in their own words have acknowledged that the RSC exists, that the RSC is there. It is not gone anywhere. So, well, I want to listen to also my colleague, but really just for an intro, that really makes no sense. The only thing that I take from this is that they are confirming that yes, RSC, you are still there, you are in control, and you have a say. Thank you.
Though, yes, they confirm by their letter the RSC is there, the RSC is supposed to have control, but no, the Judiciary Council, we don't exist. The Judiciary Council doesn't exist. But let me go back to a foundational question here, Honorable Jeannie. They have said that, Sako has said that these people were sent to the RSC for voting. What happened with their voting?
Thank you, Secretary Chris, for that question. That is what Sako say. And I'd like to call the attention of every patriotic Ambazonia to begin to sit up and to listen very well what they hear this guy Sako say. There have been a lot of things that you say that have no foundation, have no sense of belonging. You can't trace them out anywhere. We are here. You ask every member of the Restoration Council when these guys were sent to for vetting. There is nothing like, there's no information about that anywhere to be found. That is true. Now, these guys just surfaced somewhere in November 27, writing up to challenge the Restoration Council that the mandate of Sako has been renewed and carried forward. And there's no election. That is the first time they showed up and the first attempt. And nobody knew anything about them. These are just two people Sako picked from within, around his milieu, in their names as legal experts, veterans who are supposed to be, by that virtue, being people who are experienced in their profession and who should, by the virtue of experience and knowledge and sound knowledge, be able to educate Sako in his leadership and also Ambazonians. But they end up confusing him and intoxicating him to become an expert in the constitution and in the law that he is not. And he's saying things that Ambazonians are not able to sit up to think or reason. I fear that this guy is not normal anymore. He's using some hypnotical powers, because it is strange that a man with the title of a servant of God, a reverend man of God, or whatever you may call him, comes up to be doing the kind of things he's doing. It is not only exaggerated, but somebody who has truly gone out of the way. And frankly speaking, these guys have never had the way through the corridor of the Restoration Council for any vetting. So they don't only have a sense of belonging. I mean, they have no sense of belonging for Ambazonians, for the Restoration Council. And when you read through, one thing I should underline that Honorable Danny, at the end of the letter, they say, and to say, this letter was a copy of it. It was never even sent to the presidency. Some people who are confused, when men are there to seal their consciences, then they become very confused and dull and unreasonable. Because why should the Restoration Council be sending a letter to the president they have, impeached and removed from office? Who should they be sending there? They are the ones that are in charge until a new president. And Ambazonians know that we have a new president elected, and who will be sworn in, in the next few hours coming up. And how could they dare to write and say, to whom should the Restoration Council be sending this letter to in the name of the president? We have our president, and this one was impeach and remove from office. He is their president. And Ambazonians will sit up and begin to question everything Dr. Sarko is saying. I remember a few days ago, somebody told me, the Restoration Council does not exist. I was saying funny thing that they sat in the meeting to listen to this guy who will hypnotically control them, psychologically manipulate them, and intoxicate them with things. And he was telling me, I asked me, are you asking me this thing or you are telling me? He said, well, I have been reading through the. I said, you are listening to the Constitution, and I'm one of the members of the House that defends and holds this Constitution in its almost quality and all that is supposed to be for the people of Ambazonia. You are telling me about, so you are talking about me. He said, yeah, in other words. I said, so you know me more than I know myself. And he said, well, I was just saying that we should not dampen into these things. I said, well, that is true. I advise you, don't get into what you don't know. And don't listen to people who are out to manipulate you and intoxicate you. What you don't know, ask and be clarified. That is why every opportunity we have, and we come on air, we want to educate the people. And that's why when we have this kind of opportunity, we are reminding them of every town hall conference that we're holding and we should be holding, because we want to throw the light on the other side. I like to remind them because we have a program that called Moments of Truth. I don't know whether it's a drama or theater, whatever. Season 1, season 2, I don't know what they should be now going on. And they are deforming and intoxicating, misinforming people in the name of informing people. And many are passionately just carried by that. May the Lord deliver them from the witchcraft and manipulation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniel, let's get back again to this letter, and I'd like you to answer. There are two issues raised in this letter, and one of them is that the Restoration Council doesn't have the powers and the jurisdiction to freeze the National Treasury. Does the Restoration Council have those powers?
Thank you, Secretary Chris. I like to deal with facts. I'm actually going to read part of what they wrote in that regard. In a section here, they say, we have not found anywhere in the interim constitution of Ambazonia where Mr. Komita or the Restoration Council derives the power to audit the National Treasury of Ambazonia. And if you continue somewhere down there towards the end of the letter, it says, can Komita or anyone else show Ambazonians from what articles or part of the interim constitution Mr. Komita, the Restoration Council, derived the authority to issue such a far-reaching order? Okay, and then they say, very interesting to note that the so-called order does not have the courtesy. Yeah, that was what you were mentioning about the president, copying what my Reverend Jeannie was talking about. Now, somewhere in the letter, they do mention about the is it the PPMEB, right? That is supposed to be the one that would handle such things. The truth is that it doesn't exist. That particular arm doesn't, well, it used to exist. I know of it very well. I'm very certain about that. But it closed down or it just went inactive. So that is a fact that is there. Now, coming to the aspect of the constitutionality of the Restoration Council. Number one, if we go to the Constitution itself, if you look at Article 15, which talks about the functions of the Restoration Council, it does mention the various things that the Restoration Council has as part of their duties. And then it goes on in Article 8. It says, in addition to the aforementioned, so the various things that the Restoration Council has as functions. So in addition to the aforementioned, the terms of reference of mandate of the Restoration Council, or in bracket the TOR, shall guide the workings of the Restoration Council under the direction of the chairman to third majority of vote. Now, this is the part which these people are so much trying to hold on, that the TOR, and yet they reference our terms of reference in their letters and in all the accusation and stuff like that. This is the article they will hardly ever mention. They don't want even Ambazonians to know that there's a term and reference, which this is the only place in the Constitution that mentions the terms of reference of any organ of government, and that is the Tor. So it says, in addition, the terms of reference is part of the Constitution. This simply says that this will guide them. So it cannot talk of the terms of reference and at the same time we deny the terms of reference of what it says. Now, I'm going to go to the terms of reference because all of these funny things that they are bringing up, and really, to be honest, I did not really want to come to this show because, to be honest with you, I find these things so just trash. But because of the sake of the people of Ambazonia, I deem it necessary to be here. Now, let's come to the terms of reference, and please just give me a few minutes while I deal with this case. If you look at, Article 4, now this is the terms of reference, Article 4, 4.1. It's saying that, okay, I've mentioned that already about the agencies, right? Which the Restoration Council can act. Let's go to Article 6.1. Just a moment. It says, as custodians of the people's interests and their needs, the Restoration Council plays the role of the legislature in the interim and has jurisdiction. It has jurisdiction over holding all accountable to the execution of any business that is in the interest of the people. I read it again. As custodian of the people's interests and their needs, the Restoration Council plays the role of the legislature in the interim and has jurisdiction over holding all accountable. It doesn't matter whether it's the president, it doesn't matter whether it is the finance, it doesn't matter. It says all accountable in the execution of any business that is in the interest of the people of Ambazonia. Now, 6.2 says the Restoration Council does so by directly calling the executive to account or through its agents like the Ethics and Compliance Commission, State Accountability Office, and etc. And obviously, like I mentioned, there are various committees in the Restoration Council, and they are the ones, these are the agents, these are the ones that do act in that capacity of holding accountable the executive. They bring them to book the checks and balances to make sure that what they say is what they do, or what they're supposed to do is being brought to book. So nobody can come and tell us that, the Restoration Council has no authority, has no mandate, or has no power to ask for accountability, when it is very clear here that we have the power, we have the right to ask for accountability of any department. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. That's a great explanation there. The question then is, in your opinion, why do you think they are doing everything to take off the hands of the Restoration Council from having anything to do with the Treasury and the audit? Reverend, all right, yes, go on then, Reverend.
I wanted to say, just like the song that I think Sonia Okoso who sang, when you played the one you played before we started watching before you came live. We are not fools on the hills, right? I don't know why they keep writing these things, and there's a saying, one little lie leads to another. When you begin to lie, you only have to keep on lying to sustain that lie. You will keep on lying and continue lying. So all of this is very clear because, one, they want to make it look like the Restoration Council has no authority. Number two, they want to give the impression, they think they can frighten the Restoration Council. And obviously, the real reason for this letter is because the Restoration Council has given order for those accounts to be frozen. Money can go in, but cannot go out. That is the main reason they are writing this letter. They think somehow they will do some magic or something for us to be intimidated, and for us that we don't know our rights. They are playing with the wrong people.
Reverend Junior, please, your turn. Why do you think they are desperately trying to stop the Restoration Council from having the keys of the Treasury and conducting or sanctioning an audit?
First, like Honorable Danny had mentioned already, they are trying to intimidate the Restoration Council from doing their responsibility or carrying out their official responsibility of protecting the institution of the nation and protecting what concerns the people of Ambazonia. Because from the articles we read through here, from the Constitution and from the Tor, terms of reference, is all clearly pointing out that the Restoration Council has the overruling power of oversight over every institution of the country, and to make sure it follows up to protect the interests of the people with accountability from anybody, anytime, anymore. Now, so they are doing so on one side to intimidate, so that the Restoration Council can stop whatever they're doing or swing back. Secondly, to present to the people that they are the ones in charge, which is not true, because they have been asking here, and so it's a kind of a manipulated letter against the Restoration Council and against the people of Ambazonia, not to look up to the institution of the Restoration Council, but to look up to a structure that is not fully instituted or structured or in place. Now, adding to what Honorable Danny just mentioned here, let me read out some other additional points of what he mentioned, because it is chapter 5 of the Restoration of the Constitution. Anybody who wants to read, follow up to there. In Article 14, read point 3 and point 4, and then come back to Article 15. Now, I'd like to read point 4 again. It says here that the Restoration Council has that legislative right to determine the fiscal and the taxation policies in consultation with the Department of Finance and Economy. And in a context here, the Department of Finance and Economy is the National Treasury. It says explicitly they have the power and the authority in consultation to this department, not with the president and not with the judiciary, to determine the financial situation of the nation. And beg me, Ambazonians who are following up, will bear witness that till today, there has never been any case of the projects of the cabinet presented to the Restoration Council, which is what is called to be done at any moment. The former president did what he wanted, having manipulated the people and even pocket them to go the way they're going, which is not right and true to the people. Point 8 of that Article 15 says that the Restoration Council has the mandate to update periodically and to keep current and adapt to changing circumstances and needs of the people of Ambazonia. That means while we are going through what we're going through, even if we had arrived in Buya, the Constitution is there as a guideway for the people. But through the changing circumstances, times and seasons, and complex situations, where things are not fully clearly defined, a way forward, the Restoration Council have that power to be able to chart the way forward for the people of Ambazonia. And there are many of these things that are being pointed out here very clearly, so that we Ambazonians should know and sit up for it. In Article 5.1 and point 6, it says that the Restoration Council has the empowerment to make rules in the interim and laws for the future, and to make sure that public money is being spent accountably. Now, one of the reasons, like Honorable Danny just mentioned already, is for the fact that there was a letter sent out by the Restoration Council to stop every requisition of money from within the National Treasury, and to empower a committee of auditors to carry on investigation and to bring out the result of the auditing to the Restoration Council to be made known to the people of Ambazonia. And it's ongoing. I think before the end of this program, we're going to read a letter so that Ambazonians should know, because the committee has written a letter to instruct, to inform the people about what they're doing. And for Sarko, the impeached and removed president, to work with this, call them veterans that have become confused and even disagree among themselves, and agree when need to defend the cause that is not there. He knows that when the results of these auditings are published, it will be like a wind of justice, the wind of revelation that will expose the reality of all his financial misappropriation. That is what they are fighting at the moment. On the other hand, they want to make sure they get hold of the little that is still remaining in that treasury. But God forbid. And like Honorable Danny said already, the Restoration Council is committed to go any far to make sure that this guy in his wickedness will not deceive and enslave the people of Ambazonia forever. Thank you.
Now, thank you. In one of the paragraphs that John Frunso and Tim Mbese are quoting here, they say, we have not found anywhere in the interim constitution of Ambazonia where Mr. Komita or the Restoration Council derives the authority to audit the national treasury of Ambazonia. The order or directives contained therein are therefore unconstitutional and unenforceable. Unenforceable. Article 9, subparagraph 1b of the interim constitution, they say, state, and I quote, the president shall uphold, defend, and ensure respect and enforcement of this constitution as the supreme law of the land and the overriding instrument for the governance of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. In other words, they are saying the jurisdiction lies with the president. And who is that president? Somewhere, Ekome Sako. Are they still dreaming? If they are respecting and writing to the Restoration Council and the Restoration Council has impeached and removed somewhere Ekome Sako, what do you call this? What are they trying to do? Go for before, for back?
It's manipulation, clear manipulation. Let me say here, that's one point very clear for Ambazonians to know. Even if that were to be true and not manipulation and distortion to want to drive in a point, because all the articles we have read here in chapter 5 of the Constitution, all the articles we have read here, more than 6 of them, shows very clearly the responsibility of the Restoration Council as the custodian of the law and the institution of the people, not just to apply the law, but to supervise it and protect it and defend it. Now, let me read here. When you read through the whole of that letter, they don't mention about the chairman of the Restoration Council, whatever. But there in the Constitution, it's mentioned very clearly in this article, point 8 of Article 15, point 8, it says, in addition to the aforementioned, which Honorable Danny had read already, the terms of reference, mandate as of the tour shall guide the working of the Restoration Council under the direction of the chairperson. This is what they have been avoiding. You hear the commentator and his look. These guys, I don't know what kind of intellectual or veterans they are. They are not sincere to themselves. They are not true to themselves. And all the people who sit with them in the forums and listen know that even when they come together, they quarrel. And when they go back, they manipulate and come to the people. May Ambazonia sit up and be able to read their constitution. He said, with the chairperson and the two-thirds majority vote, this manual may be updated periodically to keep current and to adapt to changing circumstances and the need of the people of the Southern Cameroon. Is qualifying the chairperson, whoever he or she may be, for this rule to be done, not for anybody, but for the people of Ambazonia. We should come to our senses to understand that the institutions are there not to defend any person, but to defend the people jealously. Let us come out of this manipulation of trying to defend, I don't know how to qualify. Unfortunately, he's not even there. We're trying to fool the people to understand that he's there. His days are numbered. If I am a servant of God and I know this God I'm talking about, he called a servant of God and has been up to what he is in his devilish attitude, trying to deceive the people and enslave them forever. If Ambazonians will sit up to understand what are the results showing up from this audit that will be published very soon, some of them will be lamenting when it's too late, lamenting when their tears cannot help them. But thank God, there's always a remnant, because those who are determined to follow the way of deception, let them go back to the Bible and check out the man Saul, see how he ended. Check back the king, he was a king, but see how he ended. Check back the king Ahab, the kings, and see how he ended, being fooled around by a certain Jezebel. It has been happening in the history of different nations, and Ambazonians should sit up it is time for them to sit up and check their eyes. Now, so is these articles here are qualifying. If you read at all, you see talk about the chairperson and the members of the Restoration Council to make sure with the changing circumstances and with regard to the needs of the people of the Southern Cameroons, they uphold the constitution and defend their cause, which is what these guys are trying to fight about or fight against. Thank you.
Honorable Danny, go on before I move to the next subject that has to deal with the hostile takeover. Now, after writing to you, they held a meeting. They talked about the hostile takeover of the treasury. But before we get there, what will happen if Sako says no, I'm not going for any audit?
I think he's muted. We can't get him.
Oh, I think he's muted on his side.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, can you get me now? Yeah, I was saying that before I go there, with regards to Article 9.1, I think that article seems to be one article that Barrister John Fru has been singing so much, and I think this is where, for some reason, it has kind of entered the head of some people that, oh, this is what the impeach and remove president is holding on to. Well, this article is very clear. All of us, even we who are in the Restoration Council, took an oath, and also we have to defend, the Constitution. And in this respect, it simply means the president must uphold that the RC is its own accountability person. It has to uphold it. In other words, this is my boss. I have to respect that office, and that is upholding Constitution. Why are they not also discussing about that? So in terms of whether they will go for the audit or not, well, it is obvious that they might not want to, but it doesn't stop the work of the Restoration Council to still invite whoever has to be invited. The truth is this is a God-ordained revolution. And people think that we're just saying it for saying sake. They thought the RC was dead and gone. Suddenly it has risen up. How did it happen? That is how God is doing things. That's just the hand of God. People, the Bible says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. It's because they don't have the knowledge that God is in control in this thing. So they say it their way, and the more they pronounce it, the more the judgment of God is right at their doorstep. So certainly, whether you come for the audit, you don't come for the audit will still continue. We are not, and we don't have Ambazonia yet fully where we'll have, a prison system and stuff like that. But who knows? Who knows? We have this revolution in God's hand. We are here up to this point because God has been in control. When people thought at some point that everything is gone, you just see something happen. And it is the same thing as what is going on right now. So the audit will continue. And the truth is that this letter really is because they're trying to avoid that auditing. The audit will happen whether they like it or not. In fact, it is ongoing. So let us wait and see. Anybody who's wanting to argue out there. And let me say something to Ambazonia, because a lot of people think that the impeached president had the authority to suspend, according to their own words, which they actually want to say dissolve. The truth is, there's no constitutional power that he has that any president of Ambazonia has to dissolve, suspend, disband, or whatever. The Restoration Council. There's nothing. Even the LGAs don't even have the authority. And the whole truth is this. This is the game that was played. The game that was played was that let us call an emergency meeting, which the former president did. Call an emergency meeting, which is like the next day. People come there, then suddenly you say, oh, this meeting is a meeting of chairs. Then after all the debating, and some of them who attended, you don't have any power to dissolve, to even a vote of confidence. Some told them that you don't even have that power, right? Then after doing all of that, a letter is produced, which now says that we give a vote of no confidence, or we call on the president to give a vote of no confidence. That letter does not have the signature of any chair in that letter. it has the signature of an appointee by the impeached president. So how does a letter that has no signature of a single chair have an authority and power to give the president a vote or a voice for something that has to do with all the chairs? And I asked that question in my own LGA, and they were trying to say, oh, the other chairs should have come out and distance themselves. Why must they distance themselves for something that is illegitimate, it has no power, no authority? So that is a null and void. It doesn't hold water. It has no power at all. And from that point now, what happens now? It sounds now like, oh, we've given the former president the power to now go ahead and do whatever. Then the impeached president come now, instead of even trying to do what the people asked him to do, which is the case here of saying a vote of no confidence, which they still don't have the power, and which no chair even signed that document, he goes to say he is suspending the ROC. I mean, how ludicrous is that? I mean, it really makes no sense. So Ambazonians that are there thinking that, oh, he has had that power. He's had no power. He cannot dissolve the ROC. That is why these people are writing referring to the ROC. And before you know, others will still keep on writing, trying to, to still mention the ROC, because the ROC is the ROC. It's the Restoration Council. It is the overriding body. Whether they like it or not, it is the overriding body. And Ambazonians, I want to say this, look straight into this camera, and I'm telling you the truth. Do not be deterred. Stand firm on your ground. Walk the walk of faith that God has called us. God is in control in this battle. We are playing our own role. We are playing our own part. And whatever it is that God has for us, we will do it. But you also on your own side, stand your ground and march on to victory. Do not allow people to deter you and try to give you all kind of stories. It is very clear. If you read this constitution, it is very clear. It is straightforward. It was not written in Japanese for us not to understand. It is clearly written there. And so let us not be fooled. We are not fools on the hill. And we're not going to be deceived by people who try to create scenarios and write all kind of stuff. Even if they write whatever letter, we will still debunk it and show that they are the ones that are unconstitutional, because every little lie they are trying to put ahead, every lie is only going to grow and grow to something else, and it will not hold the water. So please, this again, just to conclude, this letter is just a proof to show you that they know the power of the RSC. They know that the RSC is not dissolved. They know very well what the RSC stands for. Thank you.
All right. Let us move over to this other subject of the hostile takeover of the Treasury. We are joined also at this moment by Mama Jew, the famous Mama Jew here at the interim government, talking about the board chair of ABC. But before I get to her, talking about the hostile takeover of the Treasury, before that meeting of Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, we also making rounds on the social media of private banking information belonging to this lady, Irene Gua, again making the rounds on social media, asking Ambazonians to make donations to their so-called government through her private account, Cash App, Zelle, and so on and so forth. And I believe one reason for which she circulated, ladies and gentlemen, that information, those private banking information, the reason being that they could put money in the Treasury, but they could not get a dime. They cannot get a dime out of the Treasury because it is frozen. And so she began passing out her own private banking information, account information for people to make donations using her private account. The funniest thing about this is that She cannot argue that, oh no, I just had to do this for our refugees. I just had to do this to help, our suffering people. It's a lie, because, ladies and gentlemen, the HSS department for which that fundraiser was being conducted is incorporated with a 501c certificate and account number of its own, separate from those of the National Treasury. So there was no reason, ladies and gentlemen, for which this woman would be circulating her private banking accounts for Ambazonians to put money inside for her to, turn around and use it for whatever purpose. We do not know. But the interesting thing is that this isn't the first time she was doing this. We have seen her giving her banking information during drives for people to send in money through her. Now, why this is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen, is that when drafts are taking place in any county, there is what we used to call the IOC, intergovernmental oversight committee. Intergovernmental Oversight Committee. When draft fundraisers are going on, what happened is the Intergovernmental Oversight Committee would have to descend upon the county to make sure the county is bank ready, account ready to collect any drafts. The reason the IOC does so is to make sure that draft money doesn't go into private accounts. That's the purpose, the reason for which they do that, and it is one of the reasons for which it was created. When money was being drafted to private bank accounts in different counties, the IOC was put in place to make sure they vet every county to make sure they have a bank account before it drafts. But in this case, Irene Ngwa, ladies and gentlemen, who I believe is part of the treasury, it knows better that you cannot ask Ambazonians to put money in your private account. Passes out private banking information for Ambazonians to put money into it. A lot of it has been done. I don't know how much has been forwarded to the treasury, but if that is not fraud and corruption, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And this is one of the reasons we are telling Ambazonians, don't put your money in the hands of corrupt and fraudulent officials. I will say it and I will say it again. That is exactly what it is. When you have the National Treasury, when you have the HSS banking accounts, and you put out your private banking credentials for people to forward money into it, it is fraud. It is fraud. And Ambazonians, we cannot continue to live through this anymore. That is very, very important. But besides that, on Tuesday, Sako, Iringwa, and a little cabal, including, of course, the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency little ring, they met in a secret meeting in which they discussed a hostile takeover of the National Treasury. They realize they are capable, they are able to deposit funds into it, but they cannot take it out. Now, this is what they said. The National Treasury is a private foundation. They are trying, number one, to push out the National Treasurer. Richard Tango, they're trying to push him out, replace him with Iringwa. So Iringwa will now have the signatory rights, ladies and gentlemen, the signatory rights in the National Treasury to sign requisition and, of course, to open up the National Treasury for Sako and his team to loot it. That is what is going on. That is what they discussed in that meeting. So they said the way to do so is dismiss the current treasurer and then bring in Irene Ngwa. After all, the National Treasury is under under Ambazonia Foundation, which is an NGO entity. That is the way they want to take over the National Treasury. Through the foundation. The foundation, they want to get a few members of the board of the Treasury, a few members of the board of the Treasury to get the current treasurer removed, and then they will then replace him with Irene Ngwa. After all, if the majority members of the board take that decision, it goes. All they need to do is write to the bank with minutes coming from the meeting in which they ejected the treasurer. That's all they need to do. Send the minutes of the meeting in which they ejected the treasurer, send it to the bank, and tell the bank, he is no longer the treasurer, this is the new treasurer, and the bank will be fine with it. That's the way it works here. But that is what they want to do. Ladies and gentlemen, SACO is inventing every means by which, ladies and gentlemen, to continue perpetrating himself as your president. Ladies and gentlemen, I have said it here again and again. We all join this thing as volunteers. I have never been paid a dime fighting for Ambazonia. But somebody comes over and takes over, and Ambazonians say, no, it is time for us to assess what you have done for the past 4 years. The past 4 years. He says, no, I am meant to be here until I get to Boya. I was voted to be here until I get to Boya. Till eternity comes, and that eternity, of course, is Boya. Is this job a volunteer job that we all are aware of? Is it still a volunteer job for as long as Samuel Ekomesako is concerned? And look, I need Ambazonia to reflect please over this. Is this job, this struggle to save Ambazonia still a volunteer job for some of us who are into this? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the question you begin to ask people who are put in positions of responsibility through voting, and then the time comes, they say, no, this is God ordained for me. We need to know that something is not right. Let me get Mama Jew in here to comment on this, if you can hear me. Mama Jew, it's a pleasure to have you, ma'am.
Having me on your show today.
All right. You have been listening to me out there about this hostile takeover. They call it hostile takeover of the treasury through Ambazonia Foundation. What is your take on this? I know you are aware of that.
Yeah, I am aware of the attempt to take over the treasury, but I'm kind of confused because I'm thinking that everybody would want that the audit should be conducted, because right now an audit is being conducted, and this is what everybody has said, that there should be an audit everywhere. The ABC TV, they should audit. And so when they are auditing the National Treasury, I think they are only being in line. I think they are only being in line with what has to take place. So I'm thinking that at this time, everybody should wait until the audit is over and the results are seen, because we don't want another issue coming up like my trip to Boya.
Well, apparently we have my trip to Boya all back with us with this call for an audit. When you see SACO telling people, no, I don't want an audit. It appears to me like my trip to Boya all over again.
Well, that's what we are hoping that it's not going to be, because we learned a lesson from my trip to Boya, and I was thinking that following the debacle of my trip to Boya, that everybody will be keeping their books right. All the counties, all the LGAs were asked to have an account, and they are being audited. So I don't think it's a stretch for the National Treasury to be audited. The When the ABC was being audited, nobody said no, they should not do it. It's been audited. We are waiting for the results to see what it is that was done or what was not done. So, and there's not been any resistance from any group of people who are being audited. So I don't know why it is any different when it comes to the National Treasury.
But the usage of the word hostile, I mean, that is their own wording. Hostile takeover. That tells you how desperate they are about doing this. It tells you that they want to do everything that they can. Hostile, whatever means they can use to take over, number one, Ambazonia Foundation and the Treasury.
Yeah, that is true. I think that the treasurer had been asked to relinquish the authority on the treasury, and the treasurer told them, no, the Restoration Council has given an order that it should be locked down and it should be audited. And as you were just saying with the members of the Restoration Council, the Restoration Council is being recognized as part of the government. So if they are good for one aspect, they should be good for everything else.
Right.
So if that's an order coming from the Restoration Council, it should be respected. There should not be any, unless there's a problem. The Restoration Council said, in the case that money is needed for something, an extraordinary need, that requisition should be made through the Restoration Council, and that money will be made available. They'll respond to the requisition. So it is not like the money cannot be gotten. It is not like if there's a need, there's not going to be money. The Restoration Council is saying, if you need money during this period of time, make a requisition. We will make it available. So they must be
I'm going to ask this question to the Restoration Council members here. I don't know how the Restoration Council can even say to them, if you need money, write a requisition. It is not a recognized government, isn't it?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, okay, let me get to the two honorable gentlemen
Okay.
here. Let them take that question. Pastor D, the Restoration Council cannot at this moment say to Sako, if you need money, put out a requisition to the Restoration Council and we approve it, because he has been impeached and removed, isn't it?
Well, it's whatever happens. He's not the one to request whatever. He's not recognized at this time. So it might be things like, for example, like websites or things that are very pertinent, so to say. So it's not like we are expecting that we will see anything coming from the from the former president. No, that's not the case. So those are not requisitions that we are thinking that it will be coming from that side. And if at all, remember, this must be something that is of extreme importance to get a revolution going. So it's not like it's something that we are expecting to get it from him. I don't know if Honorable Reverend Judy wants to say something to that as well.
Yeah,
Yes,
let me just by the message there directed from the Restoration Council is not to the former president, but to the people of Amazonia. Let me read it here from the letter. I say, all funding requisition for disbursement directed to the National Treasury of the FRA should, from the date of the signature of this order, be redirected to the Restoration Council of the Federal Republic of Amazonia for appraisal and for approval. This order is directed to the cabinet and to various government departments, counties, local government areas, that's LGAs, and the technical commission and committee of the interim government. It has nothing to do with the former president, Sako Ekome. Now, so this has been to stop his chivalry activities within the treasury, because we are mentioning this, if you were to see the result of the ongoing auditing, you will lament. People, Ambazonians, don't know, and the very few people who are trying to push him and pull him to go is because their hands are tight and they are afraid, because at the end of the auditing, every one of them will be called up for accountabilities, and not just that, everything will be published, and friends and relatives and the world will know who they have been and know how much wicked they have decided to enslave and keep in bondage Ambazonians forever. Because when you see what they have been doing with the finances, you will discover that there is no iota of any goodwill for true freedom and liberation for Ambazonia in the heart of this guy and his wicked teams. So the message is directed to our LGS and the Technical Commission, because money can come in as much as much as this letter has gone out. We are grateful for the team in place and the commitment of the head of that department, who has stood true against every manipulation. So anything will be directed onto the Restoration Council. But who is Sako? He's gone out. He was impeached and removed, and we don't recognize him anymore. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies.
If you don't mind.
Yes.
The letter that the National Auditing Committee sent out early this morning, the 4th of March, states at the end of it, say the auditing is expected to take a couple of weeks, and we call on all Ambazonians to have faith and trust in the process. In the meantime, we urge every Ambazonian to pay their compulsory independent tax through the National Treasury, although under key by the Restoration Council, meaning the Restoration Council is in charge. Then they give warning. They say, please do you not pay or pay through any individual PayPal account or any other means of payment directed to you, since it will be difficult for the National Treasury to include such funds into the budget. Fellow countrymen, women, we are also calling on all who have contributed anonymously to please scan their receipt and to send them to the Restoration Council or to the National Treasury or to this committee, National Auditing Committee. You can send it to the Restoration Council if you don't know them. They are a team of people, well vetted, accredited accountants, and we hope you find this letter satisfactory and up to your expectations. This is the least we can do for now to address the unintentional inconveniences until a final audit report is made available. So we are just informing Ambazonians that this has been going on already, and in the next few weeks it's signed here by the committee head, who is Dr. Ekomerson Metuge. Now, and it's assuring Ambazonians that so far they are committed in what they are doing, and they will soon be finished, and the result will be released to them. And they want nobody to be victimized or manipulated to dropping your money into the wrong account, because this guy, when you see the way they talk about hostile, talks about desperate, talks about, in other words, even demonic, which is a picture of the thief that comes to steal, to kill, and is ready to destroy at all costs. So these guys are committed for anything, because they know that if they let things go, they will be exposed, and their shame will not only be horrible but international. But it's too late for them. So the Ambazonians sit up through this information. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable out there. We hope that Ambazonians are listening to the education that you giving them from here. Now, let me say this before I move to the next very important segment, ladies and gentlemen, of this broadcast. As you heard me say a few minutes ago, this woman has been putting out her private banking information for you Ambazonians to send out your donations through her. I'm asking you, we got to clean this house. If Ambazonians who are giving their money would have to have trust in what the leadership does, accountability has to be key. Again, accountability has to be key. This struggle will not go anywhere if money is not coming in, or if Ambazonians begin to find out, as we are seeing today, people running away from an audit, that their money is getting into the hands of unscrupulous leaders and is not being used for the purpose it is intended for. We are asking you, you ever paid money into a private account of this woman, please forward a copy to me. Forward a copy to me. The phone number that I use here for phone calls is a phone number I have on WhatsApp. You can forward your receipt to that phone number. And do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Your name will not be mentioned here, will not go out, but we will forward that information to the auditor who is auditing these accounts. And so, if you have ever paid money to the interim government through the private account of this woman, please forward a copy to me. I am not going to read it here, but I will forward it to the auditors and let the auditor make sure that every dime that has passed through her hands is accounted for. That is very, very important. Again, forward those receipts to me. And your name will not be mentioned in the public. I promise you, your name will not be mentioned in the public, but we will get that information to the auditors, and they will be able to verify whether those donations actually went into the National Treasury, or at least to whichever county or LGA the money was intended for. If it was for lava storm 1 or 2 or 3, please send it. Send the receipts. If it was for any other purpose, send the receipt. Ladies and gentlemen, send the receipts to us. We will get to the bottom of this. And thank you for doing so. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now take you to the most important, I guess, the most important segment of this broadcast. The most important segment of this broadcast. And I'm talking here about the killings in Ekondo Titi. What La République du Cameroon will not tell you or tell anybody who cares to listen. The killings, ladies and gentlemen, in Ekondo Titi. What exactly La République du Cameroon will not want anybody to talk about or to know out there as the reason for the attacks and the decimation of their colonial officials in that county, LGA, Ekondo Titi. Ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday, a venomous anti-terrorist offensive took place in Ekondo Titi and led to the death of 2 La République du Cameroon senior colonial officials, including the mayor and a couple of their own military security. La République du Cameroon government and her cronies have since gone on lamenting and speeding venom, attributing the incident to what they call Ambazonia terrorists or separatists. We say no. The killings were caused by bad and unpassable roads in Ekondo Titi. Ambazonia restoration fighters may have planted the explosives. Of course, there is war. The explosives that blow up the trucks. But ultimately, the success of the operation can only be attributable to the neglected state of the roads in all of Ambazonia, including Ikondo Titi. Indian County, ladies and gentlemen, within which Ikondo Titi community is an integral part, has been the bread basket that feeds both Cameroons for years. The bulk of the mineral resources, including petroleum and agri-produce, that La République du Cameroon government feeds on, come from there. The county is the most exploited, yet the most abandoned. Those who carry out the exploitation have never thought of even a kilometer of a paved road in that county. The gateway into Ikondo Titi from Kumba lies there, looking like a fermented piece of abandoned trap for everyone to see. The journey from Kumba to Ikondo Titi, that should normally take just about an hour or so, now takes not less than 6 hours. 6 hours of driving. Yet they want everybody to believe that their colonial officials were killed by Amber boys. It's such a mockery of themselves, ladies and gentlemen. Colonial Governor Okalia Bilai was in Indian yesterday to access the situation we were made to understand. Guess how he got to Indian? Of course, he didn't drive from Boya to Indian. He landed by military helicopter. Under normal circumstances, a drive from Boya to Ikondo Titi, ladies and gentlemen, shouldn't take more than 1.5 hours. But he had to fly because there are no roads to Ikondo Titi from Kumba. And to prove the point I am making, Okalia Bilai could not leave the military camp he landed at to the scene where his mayor, his DO, and the Boy Scouts of soldiers were killed. For 2 reasons. The road is a dead track. It is impossible. And because he was too scared of his own life to gamble out of the camp he landed at. He was surely afraid of a repetition of what happened to him in Libya 2 years ago. Not even the colonial DO, ladies and gentlemen, for Indian, could reach the scene of the offensive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my point. Ambazonians decided to pick up guns to fight, not just because Paul Biya declared war. We pick up arms to once and for all free ourselves and generations to come of the abandonment and exploitation such as in India. Remember the Bamenda Ring Road? We were promised it for decades. Today, it still doesn't exist. How about driving from Bunda to Bamendankwe or to Bamenda? It used to take less than 45 minutes. Today, it is taking more than 3 hours from Bunda to Bamenda. Pathetic. Yet Bamenda remains the biggest city center in all of Ambazonia. If the biggest city center in all of the southern Cameroons, ladies and gentlemen, has no access road, tell me the reason why we must not fight. Tell me why we shouldn't keep on fighting. We were promised the refurbishing of Victoria Seaport, isn't it? They have, within the years, built Kribi, and Victoria still lies in ruins. They still send French teachers into our classrooms. They still have French-speaking magistrates and the procureur generals presiding over in our courtrooms. We are still monitored by the gendarmes and military in our own country as if we were all bought and brought there as slaves. They have continued to kill our brothers. They kill our parents. They kill our sisters and our children too, with impunity. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened in Bekora, Kondo Titi, was one of the best things that has happened during this time in this struggle. FM 10 Kobo and his Expendables 100 must be applauded and supported to continue with the annihilation of anything that is La République du Cameroon in Ambazonia. Since the colonial officials want the world to know that everything is under control, it is high time we send even stronger messages in well-planned actions from across Ambazonia that nothing is under control. La République du Cameroon is not under control. FM 10 Kobo has now passed the torch. Every restoration fighting unit in all of Ambazonia must now take up the challenge, whether by road, by land, by sea, or by air. Anything La République du Cameroon cannot and must not be allowed to breathe in the southern Cameroons at this critical moment. The southern Cameroons need to get so hard, ladies and gentlemen, that immediately crossing the Mungo into Tico and Metasm into Santa, any La République du Cameroon official should feel it. Let us Christian this moment, the obliteration era. If anything we have learned, ladies and gentlemen, from the Russian war in Ukraine, it is twofold. Number one, the rest of the Western world doesn't really care. They don't care what the hell goes on in the southern Cameroons. Second lesson, we'll learn from the nationalism and the bravery of the people of Ukraine, from their president to the kid on the street. If Ambazonians are sitting here waiting for the United Nations so-called and the West, Europe and America to bring it independence, forget about it. It is not coming. You do not matter. You are a mere drip of water in an ocean. Otherwise, tell me why in this war Cameroon soldiers have killed well over 30,000 of our people, displaced close to 1 million, and the United Nations and the West does nothing, zero, no sanction. But a few buildings are destroyed and brought down in Kiev and surrounding towns. Few thousand refugees, and the next day the United Nations calls for an emergency general assembly. The International Criminal Court holds hearings. Ladies and gentlemen, sanctions rain in on Russia. Billions in aid flow into Ukraine, but nothing, and I mean nothing, is done to eradicate the butcher of Cameroon who has killed over 30,000 of our people. Fellow Ambazonians, if there have been anything like Ambazonian nationalism, it should be now, and I mean now. We have seen how in Ukraine, both their young men and the old refused to go anywhere and leave their country behind to be devoured by Russia. Young men went and picked up arms and volunteered to defend their country. Civilians, including even their mayors, they retired. They refused to run. They went and asked for guns to fight for their country. Asked their opinion about Russia and the attack. The looks on their faces tell you that they abhor, they detest Russia. The time has come. The time is now. If we abhor La République du Cameroon as Ukrainians, abhor Russia, we must demonstrate it now. Ambazonians need to learn from Ukrainians. We need more of our young people to pick up more arms, whatever that arm is, to join the ranks of our fighters to the effect that La République du Cameroon is overwhelmed. We need our civilians too, our patriots, to pick up arms too, to join the ranks of our fighters in their own way to exterminate everything La République du Cameroon from our territory. What I really mean here is this: everybody must be seen to be doing his own thing at this moment, like in Ukraine, to eradicate anything La République du Cameroon from our country. The language of dialogue, mediation, and conferences isn't going to have La République du Cameroon evacuating our territory. The only language we will use to subdue and cause them to retreat is the language of power and fire, annihilations and more annihilations of everything in Cameroon's military uniform and Cameroon's colonial offices with their slave occupants or masters in them. Let's demonstrate such bravery and nationalism as we have seen in Ukrainians. This war shouldn't be fought only by restoration fighters alone, ladies and gentlemen. Every Ambazonian should be a fighter in his or her own right. That's how we will restore our sovereignty. Kudos to FM10 Kobo. May God bless you all, and may God protect all of you in the bushes of Ekondo Titi. And to the women out there, we're learning that La République du Cameroon colonial officials are now forcing you to come out on Women's Day. I guess it's on the 8th. Come out on Women's Day on the 8th. Carry out some parades, ladies and gentlemen, so the world can know and believe that war is over in Ambazonia. We are warning, ladies and gentlemen, we are warning every woman in Ambazonia, in Bamenda, in Boya. You don't want to leave your children orphans, motherless and fatherless, or motherless, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not dare step out on Mother Day for any parade. La République du Cameroon soldiers will not rescue you. They cannot save themselves. They will not save you. Stay home on Mother's Day. Stay home on Mother's Day. Unless you want to be used as spectacles, ladies and gentlemen, for this war. That is my talking point. And now I want to bring back my panel. I start with our honorable gentleman here. Let me start with the honorable Danny here. Danny, please, you have listened to me. Tell me where I am wrong, sir. We have seen what Ukrainians are doing out there. They are inspiration to every country that is oppressed or under attack. We see the young men in Ukraine picking up guns to defend their country against Russian aggression. But in our country, in Ambazonia, we see some young men running and hiding and then pointing fingers at those who are fighting to free them, exposing them to La République du Cameroon. This is the moment that every young man, 40 and below, in Ambazonia should look for an arm, isn't it?
Well, thanks again, Secretary Chris. You know, when this revolution started, especially around 2019, there about 17, I beg your pardon. You know, I got an inspiration for a song which is in Pidgin, and the song simply says, "You are not the cam, or not the cam. You are not the cam, or not the cam. Country people stand your ground, or not the cam." So right from then, I've known that the UN is not going to come, and you know, at that particular point, there was a lot of talks of and hopes that the UN was going to come, something was going to come in, and we're going to maybe have this sudden help from the UN and stuff like that. So, and that is an inspiration, a song I had in a dream. So I've always known that they will not come. And if God is giving to us and giving us that message to stand our ground, it means that we have to fight. So it is sad to see that a lot of people are on the fence, and they think that it's just going to happen overnight. The issue is this: La Republique doesn't care whether you're a man, you're a woman, you're a child. They look us as dogs. They look at us as if we are nothing. So they don't care who they are going to kill. You might have one or two that might be compassionate, but it's just a general thing with them, especially those in the military that have been just deceived and they are just going on this parade. So I would say, you know what, stand your ground. Stand your ground. Whatever you can do to defend motherland, defend it. There is people think that, oh, you have to feel guilty. Let me ask a question right now, like this: if you're in Ukraine, with all this ammo, these people that are coming against you, will you now say, oh, you feel guilty because they are coming against you? To stand and to take up arms and do that which is right to defend a nation? No. But in our case, we tend to think that, oh no, we shouldn't do it because it'll be as if we are doing something wrong. No, 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 no. We are at war, whether it is Cold War. Cold War was war. Whatever the state is, the issue is this: we are at war, and until we begin to realize that we are at war, we will just continue to die. That's what's going to happen. And sadly, some of you who think that this thing is just a joke, sadly some of those that will be taken out. And although we will cry for you and mourn for you, life will still continue and we will still win this battle. So why not take the chances now, stand your ground and do that which is right? I thank you now.
Reverend Ngini, let me take you back into Ekondo Titi. Our boys, they go out and they bring down a Kondo Titi colonial divisional officer with the mayor. And a few of their military scouts personalities. And their colonial governor takes off from Boya and lands in a military camp in Ekondo Titi, and he says, oh, everything is now in control. Everything is now in control. This was done by the terrorists, the separatists, the Amber boys. But the truth is that what he faced to tell people is that it was the nature of their roads that essentially made it necessary for these people to be killed. Tell me where I'm going wrong here.
Secretary Chris, you are perfectly right. You are not going wrong anywhere. The analyses are clear, very, very clear. And especially to our brothers and sisters who have decided to on the wicked master at the expense of their own very people, their own very land, and their own very well-being. That is true. Because this message is very, very clear here. And this should be a shame to Okala the lie. They call him the lie. Who keeps
Okala
lying.
lie, yeah.
Yes, Okala and lie or be liar. He stands everywhere in all that has been happening within our land and lies very clearly to the international community, who have proven true, just analyzing the case that he took from the Ukraine and the Russian crisis to show that their wickedness and their deception does not permit them to reach out to us. We are committed to the truth. Now, so we are grateful that our restoration fighters are able to pick up the challenge. And the call is that everyone within the land should become dissatisfied. And even the enablers who have been saying what they are saying should become dissatisfied and ask themselves, how long will that keep on deceiving my conscience? While you were analyzing the case of Russia and Ukraine, there was a scripture that came to my mind in Genesis chapter 27, verse 40, which the father to Esau told him, you will go through difficult moments and you struggle in life, but when you become unsatisfied, you shall shake off the yoke from upon your neck, and you will pick your sword and you will live by it, and you shall conquer. That is the truth. God wants his people to come to their senses. And when you don't come to your senses and you leave the colonial master molest you, torment you, torture you, and cheat you upon your own very own, in your own very land, you remain a slave forever. So it's a pity and it's a warning, it's an exposure to the international community to show how wicked these people are. They have no iota. This guy will fly in his military helicopter, lands there, stand with the people, make his video and send out. And you know he cannot take any step further because he is not secured. And these very enablers who are dying for the foolishness of serving a wicked master at their own expense, at the expense of their own people, are struggling on this route day after day. And they pass through there with their consciences seared, dead, destroyed, that they cannot even come to a reasonability. Why? How could the roads be the way they are? And they're living in deception to, So it's a big message to every enabler. Everyone, my prayer every day is that anyone that goes out on assignment of deception of this kind, like Okala the liar or Okala the lie, Lele or the other one in the other side, they call it Lila Africa. And they bear the same message and portray the same character everywhere. Anyone that is committed to go on that course, run on those kind of errands of deception, and paint the wrong picture or portray the wrong message to the international community, or restraining them from whatever, let them die on the course of that. As many as they go, let no one of them return. That's my prayer. And I pray from the conviction of the word of God. Bible said there is no place for the wicked. Let them die the death of the wicked. That is true. So this is a message to them. And this is, not to the Republic, because they are recalcitrant and they are bended in their wickedness. So it's a particular message to everyone Ambazonian who are deserved to become an enabler from any corner of the territory, that they are on the death traps and they will be overtaken. These are signal warnings. And as many as are not ready to sit up or yield into those warnings, they will be victimized, not long.
Thank you. Let me put up this image on the screen for people to see when we are talking about the nature of the road as a reason for the death of those people. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that road. Look at that road. That is basically a dead trap. A dead trap. Can you look at the width? The width of that road. Not even people can pass by when those trucks are using that road. People cannot. They cannot. And they want us to believe that we are fighting for nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, they have promised us everything on earth for 60 years. 60 years, as I said, we haven't seen it. The ring road is still in the books. Always a project, always. The Victoria Seaport is always a project. Why they kept on promising us Victoria Seaport, which they only needed to refurbish, not rebuild, not completely rebuild. They just needed to refurbish. Why they kept on promising us that seaport? They went over to Kribi and put up one. And Victoria is still seated there. We still have their colonial officials sitting in our schools and in our courtrooms. There is no access road into Bamenda for years. And we have been in this war already for 5 years and counting. And somebody wants us to believe if we just surrender to La Republique du Cameroon, they will make everything right. Hello? Is that for real? Magetra, you're one of those who will believe so.
No, not by a long shot. As you know, Foncha had a roadmap. He had a planification of how development was going to take place in West Cameroon in those days. Everything was worked out, and La Republique took it over and said, no, don't worry. And from then, they decided to take everything from us. Even these tiny roads you see, they are roads that go to places where there's wealth. If you look in the back of that picture, you see palm trees. They look there, Indian, they have oil, they have all kinds of
Yeah.
things, petroleum oil. So they have only enough roads to go and take, not to go and do anything. They make roads to places, and it's not even good roads. You see the vehicles coming with timber, with oil, with everything. And
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. These roads that we see here, our own people use their hands to dug those roads. Don't be surprised.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, there are roads in places that are people dig. There are bridges to places that are people do by themselves. We have seen pictures where divisional officers have come to inaugurate bridges or roads where nothing was built, and they stand there and take pictures of nothing, and all the money has been swindled by all the officials. So those officials of La Republique do not have any qualms. They do not have any reason to tell the truth because there's no retribution if they do wrong or they do right. And nobody comes to check. If they give money to do some work, people just squander the money. Nobody checks. And so they perpetuate the same thing. There's no need. They don't see any need for any change because people are not working for a government, for the good of the people. They're working for themselves. As much money as every individual can steal, that's fine. As long as you are not caught, as long as you are not doing anything against beer, you are free to steal as much as possible, knowing that the day you will cross beer, you will be in jail. So that is why people cannot stand up and tell the truth. Everybody is lying, everybody is thinking of themselves. But I am so surprised because in this day of the internet, of social media, people are beginning to see how other countries have developed. If the people in La Republique or anywhere else cannot sit up and say, "My goodness, less countries that have less than we have better roads, have better things, the people are living, and we are existing. We are barely existing because all the money is going to the hands of a few people. It's not even that the money is going to develop any part of the country, it is going to the private pockets of people. We, like you said, Secretary Chris, we have the seaport, which does not need anything. It doesn't have sand like Douala. For the longest time, they were spending money every year to remove sand from the Douala seaport instead of a natural harbor in Limbe, which we used to use. When I was young, I went to school in a Presbyterian girls' school in Limbe, just by the seaport. We would hear ships coming in. And that is something that had to be developed, but they would not do it because it is on our side. And people are paid to put money in their pockets. Nothing, no development. I don't know how these people have a conscience. How all these deals, they go out, they put their lives at risk, and when they die, then they say it's us. They kill themselves by not doing what they have to do, by turning their eyes and looking on the other side. When nothing is happening, there's no development, people are suffering, and they are stealing money, and you don't even see what they do with the money. So it is very pitiful. It is very pitiful that these things continue to happen, and they blame it on innocent people who are dying. I don't even understand when you see people on the road, you don't see people looking healthy. People are suffering. And these government officials do not have a conscience. And if you see, like what I keep saying, people buy their position. People have money, they buy to go to ERIC, they buy to go to ENAM, they buy to go any professional school. So by doing that, you feel you have that sense of entitlement. I have this job, I bought it. Therefore, any money that comes is mine. So if use this money for myself or for what I want, I don't feel any guilt because I bought this position. So this is a government where they buy and sell things. People buy positions. People buy into schools. So when you go to that school, you don't even pay attention. You don't learn because the job is yours. It's going to be yours regardless of whether you pass an exam or not. You've bought yourself a place. And so those are the kinds of things that we are trying to tell our people that it's not the way. We have to have our own country so that when you look at other countries which are developing, then you can begin to see that that people are living and we are just existing. We want to live. We want our people to live, to be alive and enjoy the good life, enjoy all the things that our land has to offer.
All right. Unfortunately, I wish we had much more time to discuss this subject. Let me do the last round. Was it who spoke last? Was it Reverend Ginny or Danny?
Yeah, last.
Okay, so let me come to Reverend Ginny. I talked about the spirit of nationalism that we have seen in Ukraine. Ukrainian 40 and above, 40 and under, going and demanding for guns, ammunition to defend their country. They refuse to leave. Retirees, civil servants, they refuse to leave. They go and ask for arms to defend their country. I don't know if we are seated here, whether in the diaspora or on ground zero, hoping that the United Nations will come to our aid, hoping that some mediation or some conferences or negotiation will bring this to an end. We fool ourselves if we cannot pick up arms. Every Ambazonia, pick up arms. Make them, if you can. Make up cocktails. I saw it in Russia. See them making cocktails and in Ukraine, making up cocktails to go after Russian army. I'm surprised. One thing that surprises me, is, gentlemen and lady, is that for 5 years we have the ANSC. Nobody is using cocktail on the ground. Nobody. And money is being raised on a daily basis. Common cocktail is not there. If Le Fancy was not here, I don't know where we would be today. But I think this is the moment. This is the time for every Ambazonian to think creatively of how he or she can invent their own weapons to go after La République du Cameroon. Can you imagine? They live around them. They live among us. And they go out and do business as usual. And we do nothing. This is the time for Ambazonian nationalism. Reverend Jenny, or if I'm wrong, let me know. If you think that the United Nations will save us. Yes, Mama G.
Can I say something, Secretary Chris, about this?
Yes, please.
I know the call for Reverend Ginny, but I'd like the opportunity to say something about this. You see, the problem that we have is the fact that for too long we have been suppressed. We do not have that sense of nationalism. Our children do not know what it was. So people don't have the idea that I am fighting for a better country. It used to be like this. So sometimes it's the vision. I would tell you that when this thing started, somebody gave me the recipe for this Molotov cocktail. I have shared it with so many people. I have shared it with county chairs. I've shared it in my own county. And people refuse to use the Molotov cocktail. No, they say, no, we want AK, we want this. people are, it is like people are, I don't know whether I would say the boys are corrupted or whatever. And I think that there are times that people have to put their foot down and say, look, for us to send you money, this is what you have to use. This recipe for Molotov cocktail is there. When I saw those people shaving soap and all those things, I'm looking at it like, this is what I have. This is what I have been sharing. And people refuse to use it. But the problem again is the fact that you see these people in this country, they have enjoyed their country. They know what they are fighting for. They see what they are losing. But our own people are just fighting. Some people are fighting because growing up, they've never had anything. People have degrees, but they cannot even find a job for dog catcher or whatever. And so that sense of this is what I want is really not there. So the vision is not there. And I think that that is one of the biggest problems that we have.
All right, thank you. Let Reverend Ginny round this up and open the phones to hear from Ground Zero. Reverend Ginny, please.
Yeah, I think just to add to the voices of Honorable Danny and Mama G, our people really need to sit up at the moment and to understand. As I just look at the pictures there, like everybody's watching, you discover that all of those guys, the ones lying in the car, the ones who fell out, are all having, protective armor upon them. I mean, bulletproofs. But it shows that the AKs did not do anything. But something those locally improvised explosive is what succeeded. And if at every LGA, people are able to sit up, while we thank God for the Levances and the Asawani, which were inspirations at the local levels. We have the stories and the history, testimonies of what happened in the BLM, how they came in their numbers, and they were carried out in bags.
Reverend Ginny, I'm not stopping you there. You see, one good thing about this cocktail Molotov is that anybody can make them.
Yeah.
They are easy. We are talking about everybody becoming a nationalist. Every civilian making his or her own weapon. These Molotov cocktails are you can easily make it. You need a bottle and some gasoline to, get this thing working. And you wait by the side of the road and trap down their trucks. You will destroy them in minutes. Go on, please.
Exactly. They are easy to make and they are cheap to, go through the process. I remember in the early days of the SDF, where guys were just using bottles and with sand or with sand, and some who had rice could use it with petrol, and those were really explosives that, and the thing just died off. Now, talking about these modern ones, and we are glad that this has come to, because it has thrown light. You just go to the internet and Google out how to make the Molotov kind of, and you will see it is clear, even to those who do not know. And from every end, I want to think that if everybody pick up that spirit of being passionate and being nationalistic in the view of the liberation of the land, and on every corner, we will heat up the land, and these guys will have no place to stand. Just like you see the colonial Joe who could stand and not move any step. There are some of them who within our local government areas who have no sense of any movement. They'll be paralyzed wherever they are. And any move they will have to take will be sneaking out if they will succeed to step out. It's a wake-up day. It's a wake-up day. And the truth of the fact that we can see the United Nations, we can see the International Court of Justice within the third day of war in Ukraine, stepping out already for investigation for crimes against humanity. And then the call of the United Nations for, I was somewhere today, and I was shocked that in one of the grocery stores, they are collecting money, and that there's something put there, and they're collecting money to send to Ukraine, which is a call from the United Nations. Ambazonians have been going for 5 years. What have they done? So it's a call to understand that we are left on our own. We thank God who has been able to sustain us this far. But he wants us to be awakened. And with our little effort of commitment, he will amplify the energy or the firepower, and we will smoke these guys out. So whether you are now another call comes back to those, especially those of us in the diaspora. Ask yourself, what are you doing? Maybe you have been discouraged in the past because we wanted to transport things from the ground one to ground zero. It never worked. The boys were hijacked, or even the things were seized on the way because of the tight security from La Republic Cameroon, who were able to track down all the different passages of our boys. It's high time. The little we have, we manage from home. We have everything it takes to be able to smoke out these guys from our land. And if we sit up in that nationalistic spirit and do what we can do, little contributions from the diaspora and the effort of everyone in the land. The pictures are there. I saw a woman with 2 kids. One of them was 7 years, and another one was 3 years. And she said she stood on the line for her name to be written so that she can get into the war. And every child, every woman, they were committed in the cause. And I think that God honors people who are determined for their own cry and liberation. So may this message pass through to our people who are listening to us, so that we can, who knows, before the end of this year, we are arriving Boya by the grace of God. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Unfortunately, we don't have much more time to continue on this subject, but I want to thank all of you, Ma, Gertrude, and all of you for being part of this discussion. I look forward to bringing you back one of these days. We'll have much more time to talk about it. You have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to open the phone lines now. I am going to open the phone lines, and if you have a contribution on this subject, please give us a call right now. I see the first caller is here. Let us see. Hello.
Hello, please. This is Ernest calling from Maryland. Thank you for taking my call, sir, and my greetings to your panelists. And what I have to say for today, I remember at one time, like Mama G said, around Ambazonia in Bamenda in the 90s, the neighbors were trying to get the road fixed, and the gendarmes just came and took them straight to station and locked them up. These are the kind of things that make people just feel that since they said this is something for government, we should just sit down and wait for government. So that spirit has to be pumped up by your program today, and those ones that will come up, and any other person that has something to say to bring us the nationalistic spirit, so that we can fight, when it is due time. And I also want to say that we have to be leading, because when I remember that from 2017 up to today, we are saying 3,000, soon 5,000 people died, soon 10,000, soon more than 13, and now we are saying 30 because it was said in France. We have to determine how many of our people died by ourselves and start saying it just like we said we are Ambazonian, and now everybody is calling it Ambazonia. We should not go and listen to people and then think we have to follow them so that other people will understand. We have learned from the fact that they are calling us Ambazonians, and because we insisted. So if you even consider that between 2017 and 19, where people died like 20, 30 in a day, we had at least one person dying in each local government. If you look at one person dying for each local government one day for 3 years, that is 2017, 2018, and 2019. Just these 3 years, and we multiply by 63, you see that we have about 70 people who have died, 70,000 people that have died. It's simple. We can just adopt this, and then we know we work from there, and then those who are in charge of every local government they now begin to send us daily reports on people they get that they are dead.
I think that's a great idea. We can actually have our local government chairs and security chiefs to begin to carry out these census in their communities. Let's know exactly how many people have died since the war started in their communities. We will easily come up with the real figures of how many people have died. Great idea. Thank you, sir. Let's get to the other people. There's no time to stay on for long. Thank you. Okay. Let us see who is next. Let us see who is next here. The phone line is open, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Secretary.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Bamenda.
From Bamenda. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Go on, sir.
Yes. Two perspectives. The first one is
you have 50 seconds. Make it really quick.
Okay. I just want to recall that a few years ago, the former U.S. Undersecretary for Africa, Ambassador Cohen, said that Ambazonians are not angry enough. I'm happy that you are eating on that point about Ambazonian nationalism today, because that's the key to arriving Boya. This ambassador said that Ambazonians are not angry enough. I'm on ground zero, and sometimes I feel sick the way I see people show indifference to what is happening. How can you be indifferent to people, to demons who have more than 30,000 of your people, burn hundreds of villages? You go about organizing parties to drink and dance. So I'm happy you are hitting hard on that. That is what will take us to Boya. Everybody will fight. Yeah, the field marshal was saying that the time is coming where people will be compelled to subscribe and fight. Yeah. That is the key. People must defend, must do what the Ukrainians are doing. Nobody should be spared about that. As for Dr. Sako should know that what he is doing is treasonable, and he will never get away with it. He will never. Dr. Sako should leave Amazonas alone for all what he has done. What he's doing is treasonable with his cheek. Yes. We have lost so many people. We have lost so much that we'll go any extent to track down people like him. In fact, demons like him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You have a good night. Okay. Let's see who next is calling. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we don't appear to have any other calls coming in, and I think that is great. We will call it a night here, but before I go, I need to remind all of you that tomorrow, Iya Marianta will be inaugurated right here on ABS as the next president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia for a transitional period. We will try to bring it to you through ABS Live. As that happens, we will bring that back to you. We will bring that to you live. Let me get this caller from London. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Quiz. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I just want to contribute something about what you said on Wednesday.
Okay.
When you said that, you said something on Wednesday that it didn't sit quite well with me.
Okay.
About the president's house rent that was being paid. You said something that it was okay for the people to pay the rents, but this struggle, we all are doing a voluntary service. I don't think it is right for us to be paying people's salary. The boys who are fighting on the ground, they are not paid any salary. and they are dying. So why should we be paying a salary of a president who can work?
No, you got me wrong, sir. You got me wrong. I didn't say a salary. I said it is okay for the rent to be paid. Let me tell you, it is very easy to sit by the side and say, don't do this, don't do that. This thing takes a toll on some people. And if you are in charge of the struggle, or you are doing communication, which is physical work, it is not virtual work. Listen, I will say a stipend for the bills is okay. And I will advocate that for everybody who is a leader, for as long as they want it. Sako deserved it. He deserved it, because I'm telling you, this takes a toll on many of us. I have never asked for it. I have never been given one. But listen, I will not say because I was not given one, he shouldn't have had it. No, he should have had it. And anybody taking the leadership should have it, but not a salary.
Yeah, but the people who are on the ground, are they having any?
No, don't say the people who are on the ground. The people who are on the ground are not living in Europe or in America where they have to pay for everything. Don't you realize that?
Yes, but this struggle is voluntarily. So
no, you are correct. You are correct. It is voluntary. But again, you have bills to pay, and there is nothing you can do if you don't have a job. Those rents still have to be paid, electricity still has to be paid, the phones still have to be paid. And if that person is sacrificing and spending every minute, comrade, you don't know how many times we spend in meetings. You don't know how long it takes to prepare a show like this one. So it is physical work, and sometimes you just cannot combine it with anything else. Of course, again, I've never been paid anything. I have done it, but I do not think, not because I have done it without pay, somebody should do it without pay, especially at that level.
Okay, sir. So one more thing I wanted to say, what is happening now, like in Ukraine? I just want to beg Ambazonians who are following up these things. We have Ambazonians in Ukraine who, some of them, they are doing voluntary service with the Ukrainian forces right now. Mm-hmm. So there are Ambazonians in other parts of the Western world. Some are in the military, like in the US, in the UK. So I think what we lack now is that sense of patriotism for Ambazonia. We must have people who, if you've learned something that you think you can help, the time is coming where we will have to go down and also support the guys there, with our own expertise. Yes. Yeah. So I think that's something that should be really emphasized. That, I mean, Ambazonians, some of them, they are really so scared. I don't blame them. It is the way they've made it. But I don't see any reason why we shouldn't fight for our country. If we truly believe that we own this country, this piece of land called Ambazonia, we should thinking of, even going down there and fight. I mean, time is coming. So everybody that should get ready where you are, try and learn something that you can also go back and support your brothers and sisters down there.
I think we're going to be, in the days ahead, we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about this Ambazonian nationalism. I think it's a message that needs to be preached for everybody. I mean, until everybody gets it. Some of these things like this cocktail Molotov, they are cheap and easy to make. There is no reason why people cannot sit in their homes and manufacture those things and take to the streets.
Exactly. The thing is, they don't really know, because if they know about all of this, I think some of them will be doing it.
But that is why I have a problem with the ANSC. That's why I have a problem with the ANSC. Those are the things that should be educating people on the ground. Every home on the ground should have by now known how to make simple things like those cocktails.
Yes. Imagine that they knew how to make some of those things. Like they should have been doing a lot of damage to the invading forces, But I think in the coming days, things will change. things will really change for the betterment of the struggle.
All right. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will call it a night here, but before I go, I make a very special appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you truly appreciate the work we are doing here at ABS, I ask you to go on the website and make a generous donation. Make a generous donation for ABS. The website address is right there on your screen, absafricatv.com, and the email is there, info@absafricatv.com. We look forward to your support. We look forward to your support. Go to the website right now and hit on the donation button. If you are using a cell phone or a tablet, when you get on the website, absafricatv.com, you will look at the three white lines. You see the little three white lines on the top right. Yes, on the top left. The three white lines, not the three dots, but the three white lines on your top left. You click on that, the window will open and you will see the menu. Under the menu, you will see Africa News, you will see World News, then you see donation. You click on that, you'll be able to make a generous donation for ABS. Thank you for doing so. I look forward to your support, and God bless you all. On Monday, I'm going to be having a powerful presentation with very special international guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very powerful guests with an international guest here on ABS. It will be special. So do not forget about that, and don't forget to tune in. Please, again, go to the website, support ABS today. Do so now. God bless you as you do. I look forward to being back here again on Monday. Good night. God bless you all.
Have you been thinking of a career in IT? DevOps engineering is the course for you. CS Academy is offering a 6-week DevOps engineering course that will prepare you for a lucrative job in the IT field. Do you know that an entry-level DevOps pay starts from $90,000 to 6 figures? And the good thing is that you don't need any degree to enroll for the course. Enroll today. Training starts on Friday, March 25th, 2022, and admission is going on right now. Log on to csacademy.us to learn more. Contact us at 832-387-1460.
Our classes are live online, interactive, and instructor guided. Training holds only 2 times a week, Friday and Saturday evenings. Sign up today to secure your seat, or call now and talk to us.
Again, the number is 832-387-1460.
Zola Tempo, t'es une référence. Moi je Sarnio Kalongo j'ai dit
la rétrovision te noki osala marche arrière pase anga na yo tobwaka na ebale pangusa nde papris tokende avant alita chamala
Ken Makiadi na Montréal Sima Okibokiti
la rétrovision te noki osala marche arrière pase